Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
How's it going, guys? Yeah, last night's episode, or at least half of it. Yeah,
Yeah, we can both agree that this should have been a two-parter. I think at the very start, this
I
should
know.
not have been its own episode.
I mean, like when Jeff was talking stuff, he was like, "Oh yeah, this is a two-part episode," and I'm like, "Oh, does he mean within 2 hours?"
Yeah,
But like,
that's what I
it's
thought
like,
too. I checked like the time to see if they are getting an extra hour, and they weren't, and I was like, so so this is a filler episode, which it is. This episode 6 of Survivor 41. I think you could almost boil it down to a filler episode. Like I
I
know that
wouldn't
there's
say
so
it's filler because it's like actual plot things that are going to happen. Like
yeah,
there
but in
is
terms
consequence to this.
yeah, but all the strategy that we really learned was about voting out one of the yellow team who was vulnerable, and now with that little twist that they threw in there, where Erica can travel through time.
Yeah,
She can be like just make it so that all that shine. And by the way, I want to say I actually think that would have been an interesting vote out. This yellow team that lost. I think there was a lot of interesting dynamics going on here, and I
all
don't
right.
think it's that way.
So here's a few, because like the big thing about this twist, I think it's an interesting thing. I sincerely think it's like interesting. However, the fact that the people won, because I find it extremely hard to believe that she's not going to break it,
Yeah,
because it's like she felt on the bottom, she wasn't chosen, and I mean, like, and it's also like immunity.
yeah.
It's I don't really see why she wouldn't. There's like a
Yeah.
1%
It's like
chance.
it's like they were like saying, "Hey, let's leave us on a cliffhanger," but we're like, "No, we know what happens." Like, don't. That's like a terrible way to end an episode.
Yeah, yeah. I will say this: when watching this challenge and seeing the blue team dominate, I couldn't help but notice, and I know this isn't necessarily a part of the series,
Mhm.
but in our little fantasy team, literally everyone on the blue team were your people.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like,
I noticed that too. I actually noticed that. I was like, "Wow!" So one of one of us is just gonna be like doomed, and now it looks like I'm
of
gonna be
course,
doomed because of
of
Erica.
course it's Ryan.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
if of course
well,
it's Ryan
you
because
you get saved by a miracle twist that happens out of nowhere. And by the way,
the
I think
plot
it is
armor.
so stupid. I think it is ridiculously stupid that Survivor is now saying, "Hey, you guys want a challenge? Never mind. This one person said they don't want you to win that challenge." Like, I feel like
I feel
challenges
like,
are very important. Like, I think if you reverse
yeah,
time, you should have them then redo the challenge. Like then the other team can maybe learn from their mistakes and overcome. Like that would be a better story than just saying,
or
"Oh,
better
you guys lose."
or better yet, I would rather that have been like, an individual challenge,
Mhm.
or something like that, because
Yeah,
like, it's, there is no like, I don't want to say there is no wrong way to play Survivor, because there is,
yeah,
but there are like three main strategies to get you further in the game. One, laying low. Two, being the master strategist, or an underling of that. And
mhm.
then three is hulking it out, winning challenges and stuff.
Yeah.
And for it is a thing where it's like, you're promised immunity, and it just seems like, granted, he had, like, he talked to the camera and everything beforehand,
Mhm.
so I guess it's so I guess part of that was so they wouldn't think that it was like production interference,
But there's
you
so
know
much production. Like this episode just seemed riddled with it.
well, I mean, like, in the sense of, like, it wasn't like on the fly, like they had this like plan from the start.
Yeah, but that's it's still like the best parts of the season. And this is what annoys me, I think, so much about this season is that this cast is really great. It's a great stellar cast, yet the production doesn't want to just let them be a cast and be, on the TV and be doing the storylines and doing everything themselves. They feel like they have to be the ones to be controlling how the story and narrative is being told by having all these different twists
Yeah.
and having Jeff Probst tell you like it took all the wind out of the sail when Jeff said that there was no tribal council in this episode. Like I like kind of just glossed over when that happened. I was just like, oh my god, okay, well the like I don't know what to really even talk about because like part of the
Yeah.
point of doing a podcast is the strategy, and it just feels like we weren't like we aren't able to see that this episode because they're gatekeeping it for next episode.
Well, I mean, I think it's part of the whole thing of like making a two-part. Now, part of me was wondering because I don't know how long this show has been around because like this is the first time I'm really watching Survivor live since like 2017. So this Tough as Nails comes right on after Survivor.
Yeah.
I don't know like if it's like a thing that's been around for a while or it's like the next like hugest big thing.
I know it
But
was coming out when Winners at War was happening because I remember afterwards like I didn't turn it off and I saw it like Tough as Nails like intro and I was like, okay, let me get rid of this.
okay, I because I wasn't like sure about that. I was like maybe it was interfering with their thing, but at the same time I'm like when he said tonight, I did think that he meant tonight as in like they're gonna have a challenge, an immunity challenge, and then it's not that night, but the very next day. Like it wasn't gonna be like immunity challenge. All right, let's walk over to the individual one. I didn't think that. Well, I thought that's what he meant at the beginning, but then as it kind of progressed, I'm like, okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have been a two-parter.
Yeah, it really should have. Like I
Or
think
a 2-hour special.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is that we got half an episode. Like I can't sit here in good conscience say this is a good episode if we only got half an episode because it just we didn't get Survivor. Like we didn't get one of the biggest facets of Survivor, which was the actual strategizing after who's like vulnerable to then be able to vote out. It's like that's a huge part of it, and we're kind of just we just don't get it this episode. Like we have to wait an extra week for
it's
it.
just that
It just doesn't
kind
matter.
of got subverted. It was just like
I wouldn't even say subverted. It just seemed like production just kind of stepped in and said, "Well, wouldn't it be cool if this happened, Erica?" And of course, Erica got to talk to Jeff Probst, who basically was literally probing her, like, "Hey, you should do this because that's what I want." Like every survivor who goes out there idolizes Jeff Probst. If he says you should do this, you're gonna do it. Like it's so obvious.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like too good of a thing to not pass up. Not even if Jeff Probst was the one that gave it to you or anything. I'm just like straight up.
I mean, you get
feel
immunity.
like you're on the bottom.
Yeah, you get immunity for doing it. At least that's what my understanding of it is that she would get immunity from this. The people who just sent her, which by the way was so unfair to that team for winning the challenge. Like yet again, they had to choose someone. Brutal. They have to choose someone. Like it's not like you can save both or you can send one of them to exile. Like it was like you have to choose either Nasir, the guy everyone in camp loves, like he's a great guy, or Erica, the one who you guys were already kind of thinking maybe needs to go. Like, I mean, it's just so unfair. Like they're penalizing people for playing the game and being good at the game. Like it seems like they want the ones who are on top to always now just have to be sent to the bottom.
I don't know. I guess they don't want like too dominant of a game, but
Yeah, but if you're just better than everyone, why should you get punished for being better than, the
No, that's a
other?
very valid point. Yeah, I mean, this game or yeah, this episode, it was like it, I'd say it would have been a lot better if it was like the full thing because now I
Yeah,
have to like, and is next week going to be like a double elimination episode?
yeah,
Um,
I have no idea. We know that there's now definitely a double elimination at somewhere in this merge area.
yeah,
But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know. I might say something now that you completely disagree with, but I actually think that this mergatory twist is worse than the fake merge twist in Thailand's. Like
I think
I think it's worse.
I think if they didn't do that, yeah, I kind of have to agree. Like I have to wait and see how it all pans out.
Yeah.
But like what we have right here, it's just like
Mhm.
if it wasn't for the Erica twist,
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been a lot
I
better
mean,
because I did think it
I
would
can
be
tell
cool.
you
Like, oh,
exact. I bet you I could tell you exactly how next week happens, depending on whether she smashes it or doesn't smash it. If she doesn't smash it, Erica goes home because they're going to be because she has to now tell them that she didn't smash it. And Survivor players are cruel. They'll be like, "Oh, she had a chance to save herself. Let's vote her out." Wouldn't that be funny? Like it was already the
yeah,
plan, so let's do it. And if not, I think what's going to happen is Erica's going to team with all those that the people who she just saved basically,
she kind of
and
has
take
to at
and
that
take
point.
out Sydney. I think Sydney then goes home there because I know she didn't like Sydney. I know that Chantel and Liana are going to want to separate Sydney from Danny and Deshawn. So it's going
Yeah,
to be very obvious that Sydney will be the target in that case. So now those are the two obvious targets based off of this one move that will completely change the dynamics of who is in charge, who needs to be scrambling. It completely changes everything. And they're not going to know until after an immunity challenge.
yeah. It's yeah. It was like it's something where like I think I'm being the dead horse of like how this was something where I'm not totally cool with right now, and a lot of people are like, "Well, what?"
Yeah.
Um, so, um, one thing you did bring up there, because on my Facebook thing,
Mhm.
they can be I'm not gonna lie, they can be a little like complaining a lot, but
Mhm.
I mean, with this season, I don't necessarily blame them, but there was one thing about I think it was a nice moment how the four of them had like a POC alliance and
Mhm.
like and I feel like Liana put it best, like clearly we are not someone that like truly knows like the bond
Mhm.
um in something like this, but like going through like similar things in your past
Yeah.
does really help bond you together. I mean, and if to help people that are still like what, it's like think of how like back when in like 21, 22, where it was like very much Christianity was something that a lot of people were bonding over.
Mhm.
Like it's apples to oranges, but they're both fruit that
Yeah.
you can be like, okay, you can make that comparison
Yeah. Yeah,
if that makes
I've noticed people have been complaining about that there's now a alliance of color on the season, which that's something I have no problem with. Like I totally
exactly.
I love that we're getting this alliance actually. I'm so glad for it. Like that's one of the few things in this episode that I have no complaints about. It's like
I know, and
I'm glad.
it has two of my favorite contestants from the season on it too. So I'm
Yeah.
like, yay.
Yeah, our winner,
Um,
both of our winner picks have teamed up.
which is kind of funny.
Mhm.
Speaking of I still want to stay on this topic a little bit, but the whole thing with Ricard and Shan at the very beginning of this episode,
Mhm.
like it does seem like that falling out point where it's like, it's
Yeah,
what is
I don't think they're a duo anymore. I think they were a
no.
duo before Jeannie left, and now I don't think they're a duo anymore. I
Part of me
think
is one. I feel like getting rid of Ricard was probably the best move. Now, granted,
yeah.
like she still wanted to get the advantage back, which good on Ricard, because it might have actually, because I feel like Genie, especially since the merge or mergatory, and I've liked that Xander labeled it that too. I was like, hey,
Xander is so good at one-liners.
Oh wait, are you frozen?
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you slow down for a second.
You did. Well, all right, we're good.
Okay.
But yeah, this but like, because like it was pretty heavily like implied that it was going to be a a merge or something, because usually it's either 12 or it's usually 12 or 13 in Modern Survivor, even if it is like just 18 people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was I don't think that little duo is going to work. It got them to the next level of the game, or to the purgatory.
It helped them beat Uwa. Now they gotta get through mergatory to get to the merge. Yeah,
which is kind of like, I did kind of call, and some other people did, that you have to like earn your spot in the merge, but I didn't know it would be like how it went down. Yeah, it's something where I feel like beating a dead horse, but like, god dang it, the horse is like an important horse to like I mean, it's like the merge, or like, because I was like all for this like little twist, but then it just became a little too complicated, and like
well, it was like they did a twist upon a twist upon a twist. Like they kept stacking the twists on the same like pile, and so then it just became this giant thing that is just like, well, yeah, you if you just touch it at all, it's just gonna topple over, like, and that's what happened. Like, it got so big that Erica's now able to just blow on it, and the whole thing gets toppled over.
Yeah. I'm just, obviously, like I said, seeing the whole picture and everything, but it just still doesn't sit with me too well with how so basically the people that earned immunity won't get immunity. Because
because they did what they were supposed to do, which is what Jeff Probst told them to do, which was to try your hardest to win immunity. Like that is the core foundation of Survivor, is to win challenges if you can.
Literally, winning immunity is the one thing that makes you safe, not an idol. Or like, because idols can be misplayed or nullified, but winning immunity is your only safety net you truly have in this game, unless you give it up, but that's your choice.
Well, yeah, that's your choice. So you have the you can do it or you don't. That's your fault if you mess that up, basically. But for someone else to now mess up everyone else's game, basically just because production had created a scenario where someone had that option. Like, it wasn't like she didn't find this advantage. She didn't do something to earn this. She was just chosen because she wasn't liked more than Naseer.
She picked a random rock. Like, it could have been, statistically speaking, it was probably going to be at least one person from Luvu. It turned out two people from Luvu. But yeah, it was, of all the things, like, it's just like one of these things where it's definitely a hiccup, and the season has to like recover from it.
I just feel like that's the case of the season. I feel like they keep having a hiccup, and then they have to try to recover it the next episode and be like, no, we're fine, look at this, and then they're like, but what if we go back to doing something like that? Like, they're not sure necessarily what they want in the season.
The password thing, it had like a payoff, because at first we thought it would be like, kind of impossible, whatever. But like, because there was a payoff, it does make that twist better. For this one, there is no real like overarching payoff. It's just like,
but man, I was so annoyed. I mean, it's the password thing, I think, works in other seasons. I think the fact that they introduced a knowledge is power the same season as the password thing makes the
It
password thing
does.
significantly worse, like as a twist, because now
Well,
Leon,
yeah,
you saw Liana, she had never talked to Nasir before. She already knew Nasir has an idol because obviously
yeah,
he said that weird
the
phrase.
passwords and stuff.
Yeah, she knows Xander has an idol because he's been saying butterflies are dead relatives for how many, and
And
then
they went through the bag and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
like, granted, both of them, both Xander and Nasir, they are fundamentally two different like archetypes. However, they have very, very similar stories. The only thing that Nasir is missing is, an extra vote.
yeah,
But, they're two people, it's like uh, in game wise, they're kind of in a similar position when it comes to advantages and what they
yeah.
can bring because both of them do well in challenges.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I wanted like I think Xander and
and both of
Nasir
them are
would be the
nice. Both
funniest
of,
duo that we could ever see in Survivor. Like I think that would
yeah.
be a great duo for them to team up.
And I
Um,
feel like that's one thing we also kind of missed during this merge was that we didn't get too much of the interactions. We got interactions, obviously.
yeah,
Um, within the five, like the half of them get the feast, half of them just get rice. And then,
mhm,
when they were together and like, and that's how we got, the POC alliance and stuff like that.
yeah,
But I feel like more of that. One thing moving forward is Tiffany, because Shan kind of like blew up Liana's game a little,
mhm,
and especially in front of Tiffany. Now I don't know if Shan truly understood how tight or not tight they were,
mhm,
Tiffany and Liana, but that
yeah,
was one thing where I was like, because Tiff is a bit of a loose cannon. We haven't seen it in a while, but like we still remember.
yeah. She's paranoid and yeah, she'll go off if she thinks something's up.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm just like, I mean, the smart move at that time was to take Sanders. I still feel like
Yeah,
Liana shouldn't focus too much on. I feel like it's something where it would be wise for her to hold on to it until she absolutely needs to, because
yeah,
I don't know if she wants to target Nasir. I know she wants to, but like after dust is settled stuff and like
mhm,
immunity and stuff,
yeah,
like if Nasir is actually the best target at the time. I
yeah.
think honestly, out of those the other six, the ones that will have to like compete in everything,
Uh-huh.
I feel the biggest threats out of those six, which are Deshaun, Evie, and I love how during that they were like Evie, Evie, that
Yeah, and
means
then Zero
us,
Erica, yeah.
us, us, Danny, Sydney, and Sydney, Nasir, and oh, there was one more.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, it was a
and
Deshaun.
Ricard.
Yeah,
Ricard.
Ricard was there. Yeah,
I'd say out of all of them, I'd say pretty much every single one of them is threatened their own regard.
uh,
Um, but it's like, yeah, if anything, yeah, it's like, are you sure that Nasir is the best target right now?
yeah,
Because you have Danny, you have Ricard, who, might be looking for a new alliance and stuff, and is known to be, kind of cutthroat and
mm,
start, some drama.
yeah,
You got, Danny, who's not only, great at challenges, personable,
mhm,
but, is well, aligned with a lot of people.
yeah,
You got Deshaun, who has an extra vote and is well aligned with people. Nasir, just precious human being and
uh-huh,
has an idol.
mhm,
You have Sydney, who is like a, Parvati clone, who
yeah,
is like, who definitely has like wheels working and all that.
yeah, and she's very, very arrogant. Like she definitely holds herself as, like, yeah,
And then you have Evie, who is, obviously pretty smart, has a lot of, very, very flexible with the people that from the former Yesé tribe.
yeah,
So like all of them are threats in their own way.
yeah,
So it's like Nasir may not be the best one at that time, you
mhm,
know? So I
yeah,
feel like Liana should kind of like keep it in the back pocket, especially
mhm,
since it doesn't seem like she's in. Well, I mean, obviously she's not going to be in danger, but also like it's best to like see where alliance lines are and see if you actually need it at that moment before.
Yeah, I also wonder how like what if someone says, "Hey Jeff, I have something," and then as they're reaching their bag, could Liana then be like, "Hey Jeff, I have something too," and then can she use the knowledge tower as he's like pulling out?
I don't think that's how it works. I think it has to be during, actual tribal council when they're, talking the talk. As opposed to being like that, because then it's like, oh, of course, because at that point the points are at like an idol or advantage has to be play there, and usually the only ones that are allowed during that time are hidden immunity idols or legacy advantages.
But you know what? It's drop the 4. It's a 1. They can do whatever they want. Like as far as we know, we've never seen this advantage. They really could just do something like that. Yeah. Like they could really just say, you can play it just as long as it's at tribal, just anytime. Because that's what it seems like to me, is that she could like play it right and then basically grab the idol and then say, okay, I want to play it here, or basically negate an idol play.
I don't know. I think we just have to screenshot the rules again, go through everything,
which is awful. It's so bad that we have to keep like you should not have an advantage that has the entire thing just completely full of rolls and all that stuff. Like it's just too much. It is just a nightmare for production. It is terrible.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I think a shot in the dark, that's one thing that I keep forgetting until like, oh, they keep they bring it up at like tribal. It's like I keep forgetting it's on the table since no one's ever really used it.
Yeah, well, no one wants to do it because you're gonna want to hope that your people that you're trusting are safe, like they're telling you what is right. It's like you don't want to risk it on just like on a 16.7% chance. Like that is such a small chance. And you're losing your vote, which is the cornerstone of Survivor. So you're basically saying, okay, I'm willing to not be essential to this vote for a 16% chance of surviving.
Well, I mean, I guess like it's supposed to be if you're in a desperate situation. And I think because it is like the merge, in the beginning, we're going to see a lot of shot in the darks. Or not a lot. Well, I mean, relative to what we've had, which is
I think we might see one. I really think we might see one shot in the dark this season, and that's the most.
Probably.
Yeah.
I see one or maybe two panic. I see one that will be well executed, and then I see one that's going to be a panic one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that because this shot in the dark reminds me a lot of the rock draw from Game Changers. It seems like because everyone knows about this now, everyone is now going to make sure everyone feels safe and that you're voting with them. So that way it's just not played. It's like Jeannie should have played that shot in the dark. Like there is no excuse going into that episode for her not to play that shot in the dark. But because they know about the shot in the dark, they're gonna make sure that she feels comfortable.
Well, I mean, like, which people playing harder is always a good thing. It's just like I feel like definitely whenever you start something new like this, it's kind of like you learn and stuff as they go. Maybe 42 will have a better balance of these new twists.
Oh, it won't. I guarantee you that, because what we're seeing this season is going to be very similar to what we see next season, because they just are not going to have the time to change things around. Because
I mean, it's like as they're. I mean, I do. That is a fair point, but like I guess it's like how much they're like taking notes while the season plays out.
I mean, Jeff literally said that people are that this twist is gonna ruffle some feathers with people. Like he knows that this twist that they implemented, people will not like. Like he knows that, and yet he does not care. Like I think Jeff Probst at this point has lost a part of caring in terms of how the fan reaction is. I think he's now just saying, "What, you don't like it? Well, you can go watch Big Brother. You can watch some other show." Like, I think he's going into that
He definitely
aspect.
has mentioned stuff like that, where it's like he just addressing the audience and being like,
Yeah.
that's just the way we're doing it.
Yeah, and if you
Um,
look at I don't know if you've seen the viewer counts. Like every episode, they're dropping like 1 million people. Like they're losing so many people every episode.
I mean, that's usually natural, but I don't really,
Yeah, I mean,
especially with like streaming and
for
stuff, it's always like
yeah, I mean, the premiere episode's obviously always the most. But literally, like episode 3 to episode 4 lost another 1 million people. Like people were so fed up with that episode, for instance, that they really hated it. And since then, it's been like at least a couple 100,000 to 500,000 per episode. Like people have been tuning off because they're just fed up with the season.
it's a little, it just needs, yeah, it's something where I still don't want to give up on the season because the season's not done yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I see what I do. I am aware why some people aren't like, all about this. It is a little confusing with all like the new twists, and I feel like they are oversaturating it. And then I feel like the whole turn back time thing, it's good for shock value and stuff like that.
I don't even know about that. I don't think I like there was nothing I got out of that made me happy.
I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, the only thing that made me happy was like, all right, so I might not have someone go on our fantasy game, but like, that's like a very, very like side thing
that's us. That's not the show.
Exactly.
We can't. It's hard because we have this draft and everything, but like we can't hold that against the episode. Like we have to judge it fairly.
It's just like a fun thing between us and for our viewers, because usually Ryan does not do well at these. I'm like, but anywho, it's just like I think it like was a shocking twist. It's just it could have been done a lot better, whether it was like the immunity challenge, as in like the individual immunity challenge, or something like that. Because like, it's just
yeah. I brought them up before, but the survivor specialist, Phil Wood, who was also on our Brand Steelers, who was the guy who got rocked out in our podcasters in the episode and the first as the first boots. He has said that he honestly might quit Survivor podcasting after this week. He said that that he's going to be talking with other people on the show, and like he really might not want to do it next week. Like that is someone who is a hard fan saying that is just not good.
Well, I mean, there's always this thing, and I'm like, when you love something, like, because clearly we love Survivor, we talk about it, at least once a week, and we've done like Brant Steele, like so many Brant Steeles during the pandemic and everything. Like, clearly we love Survivor, and we've watched like, every single season. And we still enjoy Survivor, even if they've had like, some bad stuff in the past. Like hell, our very first season was season 39, a hugely controversial season. Probably the biggest, because like all the stuff in the past, this was like, that was like the biggest with the controversy of stuff outside the game. That was our very first, time doing this. And then, we still did it for Winners at War, and we're still doing it now.
I do think though that Island Idols had the benefit of the fact that everyone knew that Winners at War was next. So I think a lot of people were like, okay, well, we can just let's get through Island Idols so we can get to Winners at War. Like, I think everyone was in that boat. Whereas we don't have that big all-star season coming up anytime soon. Like, we really could be entering I guess what it would be the third dark era of Survivor, like that kind of, where a lot of the fan opinions on seasons are not as good. Like we might be entering that. I hope not, but it's
I mean,
looking like we are.
it's always like if you look at like a big grand season, usually it's followed by a mess season.
Yeah.
Or like one that's not always like I still like Gabon. I know you like Guatemala.
Yeah.
Oh wait, not 10.
Yeah.
10.
I like Vanuatu, but
Vanuatu, yeah. And I
yeah.
think like overall Vanuatu is like an underrated season.
Yeah.
After like the
Yeah.
rewatch.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it does have its fault
Vanuatu's
having
pre-merge is very bad. Like I have been an advocate for saying that their pre-merge is
3
one of the
people,
worst.
2 of them named John. They all
Yeah.
look the same.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, but then I think from the merge onwards, I really like the season.
Like
So
I'd say the best part of it is, it's like seeing Chris's underdog game
Yeah.
fall all the way through. That's like the best part of that season is,
Exactly.
he was doomed. It would have been like a clean cut thing if like the tribe or if, the women stuck together. But like because, Chris was able to not only win a bunch of challenges, but also be like, make deals and like his social game and stuff. Like, he really, really turned it around. And he is a bit of I'd say like it's hard to say that he's underrated. I would say underrated by the masses, but the people that like know Survivor know that, he's awesome.
Yeah. I think most super fans or like people who watch a lot of Survivor, you put him usually as a top 5 winner, like in terms of like their gameplay, because it's crazy.
In the top, wasn't he like in the top 20 and Russell Hance's
yeah, I think so. I feel like he was somewhere in the mid-teens.
He was either mid-teens or late teens because I know because I know 11, 12, and 13 are, Tyson, Tom, Tom from season 10, and then dang it, Wolf, Kim.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I don't know why I was Kim Spradlin, Wolf. Like I know those were 13, 12, and 11, but like, I knew he was like up there. I was like, oh damn, like props. But with this one, with this season, like we need the whole picture. And I mean, I would say the benefit of 39 is that granted it took up a lot of the season, but if you take that out, there was a lot of like great gameplay and the twists that were introduced into it were well executed, and it did have like I feel like a healthy balance of having a lot of twists, but at the same time not being too crazy or too convoluted.
You brought up a good points about how we need the full picture. Do you think that it might be in Survivor's best interests because they're on a streaming platform right now on Paramount Plus to just release the full season and let people binge it?
I mean, here's my thing about when it comes to shows like the entire season being released at once or week by week, because we live in a day and age where it's not just one or the other. Even streaming servers are like, week to week, or like Netflix pretty much just does the whole season, but something like Disney Plus or Hulu will like, week to week. I feel like there's truly a benefit to both. But what I like about a week to week thing is like it kind of stays in your mind a little bit longer, because even though I'll be one to like Squid Games, watch that in one weekend, could have potentially did it in one day if I didn't have other stuff, but like going through it, it's like there are some like like character names or something, like, because that is a common thing. If like, oh, you binged an entire season thing, you might be either not remember it as well as something as well you get to stew on it. And I feel like with Survivor, I feel like I always chalk it up to, unless like it's already all released, if it's something I'm watching, I like watching it in the format that it's being released because that's how they are telling the story. We're in a day and age where I feel that not only is the storytelling itself just like the entire story, but also how it's distributed,
Mhm.
like if it's the week to week, or like if it's meant to be binged all together.
Uh-huh.
Because you do see like those different narrative shifts. Survivor is one of those things where it does, like, like with the promos and stuff, it does get us speculating, gives us something to talk about, and think about
Yeah.
up until the next week.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's the thing, is that we would probably end up just doing one episode where we review the entire season, if it comes
which,
out.
which I think it'd be interesting because I think after this season's over, I would think it would be cool if the ones that are on Paramount Plus, the Australian survivors, doing like reviews on those seasons.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
sort of,
down.
yeah. There you go, guys. If you made it this far in the
Yes,
video,
exactly. Yep.
a little sneak peek
Yeah.
of what's to come.
I
But
will say that also this episode made me really miss our brand steals. Like I have now started, like I don't think I was really missing it until this episode. Like I think this episode was where I was like, man, I wish that today we weren't getting on talking about this episode. I wish we were getting on to do a brand steal.
yeah, I do. I mean, we've done so many of them. They're always fun.
Mhm.
And we've had so many great moments with them.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say like I've missed them like on occasions where it kind of like hits me, or like if I have like the idea for a brand steal, like if I did one for like one I was thinking of was the Squid Games, like like characters from that in like
Uh-huh.
Survivor,
Uh-huh.
like, or something like that. Those were like a few things I had in my head. I haven't,
Yeah.
yeah. The last brand steal I've done was with you, and
Mhm.
way back before the season started.
Yeah. I've been writing down some potential ideas just so that way we can get our good running starts.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I feel like we do live in a day and age where, because there's even people who wait until the very end to watch everything,
Mhm.
which eh, hands off to those people, because like they have to navigate not getting anything spoiled. But then again, when it's all released, unless you're watching it that entire weekend, or the entire series, or that entire season, like that day,
Mhm.
you run the risk of like spoilers, because like the memes and stuff start pretty much right after.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
So
but
yeah.
yeah, I feel like, especially since Paramount Plus, CBS is still like their biggest like channel and stuff off
Yeah.
of Viacom CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel like it's still going to have its place, with network being that five
Mhm.
5 years from now, who knows? Because network TV is still
Yeah.
like, it may not be as big, and a lot of people are more on streaming, but
Mhm.
network TV is still a thing, and it's
Yeah.
still a popular thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I will say, if this was that kind of like we have the whole season, I don't know if a lot of people would be complaining about this episode. I think a lot of people would just assume, okay, they just had an episode to set it up, so but I can now watch
yeah,
the next one, because you would have gotten the story.
both of
Like,
them. Yeah,
yeah.
which I think that's the thing. It's like we have to. Yeah, I think that's the thing, and like, yeah, I feel like we are a little spoiled when it comes to like cliffhangers and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
people were mad with WandaVision for it being week to week, and I'm like, but
Yeah.
that's kind of like how the story is supposed to be told.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also, it's like back in the day when there wasn't, or like
Yeah.
there was like on demand, but streaming services weren't like the norm.
Yeah, it
Um,
was, you tune in every week to, see the show so you can talk about it at work the next day or whatever.
yeah, and you either record it on your VCR or on demand if you
Mhm.
missed it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's um, yeah, it should have been long story short, it should have been a two-part or it should have been a 2-hour thing.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, the twist I feel is really, really screwy.
Yeah.
But because like if it got rid of, let's say if Heather was on that tribe, I hate throwing Heather under the bus because like, but I'm saying if she was,
Uh-huh.
and like she was the one that was like eliminated from it, then it would have been like no big deal. But because of like that tribe being stacked,
Yeah.
those 6 being like stacked, like each
Yeah.
one of them brings something to the table.
Yeah.
And if it's like,
Like they're all people who have also got some pretty decent edits. Like they're people who we have seen like a lot of, and we're expecting like them all to make it at least mid merge.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
Yeah, it's something.
I can't even really choose like best player or worst player for this.
Good. I was literally I almost messaged you actually after I watched the episode. Like I don't know if we should give out awards for this episode because
It's hard to gauge. It was
we just
all over
don't.
the place.
How do you gauge who did the best? Like we only got a little bit of things. Like we don't actually know what's the strongest like social relation. Like we don't know Erica's decision. Like we know what it is most likely, but like she really could come in there and be like, I didn't break the glass, and then we all would just be yelling at her for
yeah. I would say this, because we should talk about like yes, there is obviously like repercussions for whatever she does, but I feel like talking about the reasons why she would choose the other one. I mean, obviously we know the obvious choice would be to break the hourglass, but legitimate reasons why she wouldn't. One, it's 6 people versus 5 people that would be angry at her.
Yeah.
And like, the numbers game.
Yeah.
And, if you're on the bottom and out of those 6 that are already have immunity, 4 of them were on the original Luvu tribe. It could be like a thing of like good graces. But but I feel like either way, it's one of those survivor decisions where you don't want to be put in this position, because like either way, it's like pick your poison.
Yeah, I mean, any side that she also chooses, that means that side also is going to lose a person just in general. So it's very, it's a lot. I don't know. I just don't see like why you wouldn't want to just be safe and make it to the merge. Like she has the option to just make it to the merge.
I don't know.
Like I just don't know why you wouldn't do that. Like if I had an idol and I knew that this would be a final pre-merge like tribal, I might play the idol just to make sure I get to the merge, because I would want like that's your thing. You want, when you go out to Survivor, your like number one goal is to make a merge.
Yeah. Because like even if you miss out on $1 million to make the merge, you're like that's like a okay thing. It's kind of like in a competition, you want to make it above like a certain point, and that's always one where you don't want to.
It's the milestone that you always envision yourself hitting when you like envision yourself playing and everything. So it's the first thing that you're like, okay, I just want to get there, and then we can figure out from there.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't. The thing is, if it we won't know until like a week, and I feel like you've said it right, because the cliffhanger was that specifically, and something that should be so obvious, and having to wait a week.
Yeah,
that's the thing that just really brings the whole situation down even more. I'm still wouldn't be too thrilled if it was like a 2-hour special and that twist still happened.
I would still be complaining, but at least we would know like that there was something that like made for like we would have gotten at least the first half would have been that's half of the people strategizing, and then the second half would be the other half strategizing. Like it would still make sense a little bit.
We get the closure of it. I mean, like closure is good in general, but closure on something that annoyed you, now it's something that's going to be with us up until the next episode. Where I'm like, I'm in the middle of my run. Why did they do that? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, and you know they had built up so long, it was like the entire week, like this is something we've never seen on Survivor before, and it's like, yeah, we haven't seen that, but maybe it was a good thing we hadn't seen that.
I mean, yeah, it's just the turn back time thing. Now,
Yeah,
alternatively, if Erica could have, if she got an advantage for the next challenge, or
yeah,
let's say it was like a legacy thing,
yeah.
that she could either play now or at
Right. Yeah.
6.
Yeah. There should have been an advantage for not breaking the glass. Like there should be an advantage for allowing, like,
Even then, that works. Like I
yeah.
was just saying, forget the hourglass altogether. But even
Uh,
then, that gives her like a
yeah.
benefit.
Yeah. Because it's so obvious that there's an advantage to breaking it, but they didn't really, there's no real
There's no,
advantage to
yeah.
not breaking it.
Other than 6 people might be grateful for you,
Yeah.
might, but then again, these 6 people kind of want you eliminated regardless.
Yeah. So yeah, if her choice was to not break it and maybe she advances that first part of the immunity challenge, like I think that would be something where it's like, oh, I could get brownie points with those people and potentially still win immunity to like it's almost like you're then saying, you know what, I will be like the knight in this situation where I will go to battle for this because I have now a real advantage.
Or like to go with the Sands of Time thing. Like either way it works, but like she could either use it to break it to like, switch immunity, or Sands of Time in the sense of like, all right, kind of like similar to Philippines with Malcolm, where he won basically a do-over if he messes up in the challenge. Like even then, that would have been, I felt like, yes, it could be production just being like, we want you to do that because that would be crazy. But sometimes crazy can be fun.
I mean,
But
they just need to let these people have like play the game. I think they need to stop it. They need to stop trying to introduce new stuff. They need to just like they really need to just have an episode or a season where it goes back to we have
basics.
some basics. They have some idols hidden camp, not waist height either, not where you can just walk the trail and then be like, oh, there it is, like actual hidden immunity idols, like hidden.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I would say their best case is going forward to the merge. I do think there will be a merge idol. It might be a beware idol, but hopefully like the activation condition, it's not necessarily simpler, but better. We'll see.
Yeah.
I feel like there's 2 twists left, and then they can just like, all right, go about the rest of the season and let it play out.
I hope, but they've had so many twists in this pre-merge, like every episode almost. Like the one episode where they didn't was like the best episode. But like every other episode, they're trying to introduce some new advantage or some new twist that is just not needed. It's unnecessary. It's just let like you casted these 18 people for a reason. Why are you not just letting them show why they were casted? Like, let them just play the freaking game.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys are still watching after us talking about this episode, thanks for sticking around.
We appreciate that. I'm always hoping for better stuff down the line. I'm not giving up on the season.
Yeah, no. I'm not giving up, but right now it is it'd be very low on my list. If the season ended here, like if this is all we had to go off, it's going to be very low.
I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it passion like, I don't see it right now. Like I would have to like really, really look, but yeah, I would say probably bottom 10.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think I'd probably put it like at like 35, like just off of the top of my head guess. Like I'd probably put it around there.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well,
Okay.
guys, enjoy Halloween. Happy Halloween. In the comments, tell us what you dressed as. I'm going as a Lucario. You have
Mhm.
seen this costume before on the channel during our brand steals. So yeah, that's what I'm
Yes.
doing. How
Yes,
about you?
I'm not doing anything. I was invited to a costume party, but I don't know if I'm going.
Go, Joe. You got just go, live
I
life.
miss I went last year and it was okay.
Well, that's the thing about Halloween. It's kind of like an annual thing.
Well,
Uh,
Halloween isn't like one of my favorite events. It's okay.
all right, fair, fair.
Yeah. It was great when you were a kid because you got like free candy. I love getting free stuff, so that part of it was great.
I don't know. I like the more scary movies, and I like dressing up. Granted,
Yeah,
I'm an actor, and I like goofing
yeah,
off. So
yeah.
dressing up is
I
always
I
fun.
am excited for the new Halloween movie.
I saw it. Was it Sunday or Tuesday? I saw it Tuesday. That one was cool. I
Okay,
enjoyed it.
it was good. You liked it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool. I liked the premise, and there are some pretty badass kills in that.
Awesome. Yeah. I want to see it. I don't know when I'll be able to see it because I'm busy for like this next week and a half,
Yeah.
so I won't be able to watch it then. But hopefully it's still in theaters when I get back.
I think it still will. I mean, I'd say something like that probably. I mean, usually now I'd say a month is pretty much fair game for any movie,
Yeah,
but we'll
yeah.
see.
True.
Alrighty,
Okay.
guys.
Well,
We
that's
will
gonna do
see.
it for this episode of the Day After podcast.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Peace.
Adios.